Greetings, I'm Savannah from Black Witch Coven, and I'm going to be answering some questions tonight that you guys have wrote into the Ask Savannah spot on the Black Witch Coven website, and you want to know my opinion on something. So, hey, I'm going to give it. So, I've got a bunch of them to get through, and so naturally, let me just say, because I normally don't say this, I'm just giving you my opinion on these matters. I don't pretend that I'm the expert or the knowledge source. Everything or any advice that I give you, please just use it as a point of reference for researching the stuff on your own journey. Not for 1 second do I pretend to have the absolute knowledge on absolute anything. I do say that I have knowledge on what works for me. So let's go. All right. So the first question is from Adam. And Adam says, "Hi Savannah, I've been watching your YouTube videos for a few days now." Really? I just don't even watch my old shit. Like it just freaks me out. But anyways, but thanks for watching. Already a big fan. Mind making a video on remote viewing when the chance comes along? Now, yes, I can, but it would be one long ass video because remote viewing is really a skill. And I won't even say that I am great at that skill. In fact, other members of my group are extremely proficient at it. And the reason why they are is because they are well trained at this. They have trained at it for decades. And so they have become masters of this skill. I can't say my area of expertise that I've mastered remote viewing. I'm lazy now. I've got someone else to do it. So they're going to do it and I can do something else, if that makes sense. But I will say, you know, like you probably know, remote viewing isn't just a witchcraft type trait. In fact, I think it was the Cold War. During the Cold War, the US and the Soviets were actually training people in the art or the skill of remote viewing, and to get, you know, one of their many methods to get the upper edge on each other. And so I know, in fact, I forget her name. You probably watch this. And if you do, feel free to leave your links to your courses under this video. But there are CIA agents or ex-CIA agents who now teach the skills that they taught during that time in classes to the everyday person, because it is a skill and you can learn it. You just don't have to be a witch. So I actually won't be doing any courses on that because I can't do it justice. It's not something I'm really great at. But if you do get good at it, even as the everyday person, if you don't want to go into occultism, you don't want to go into witchcraft, I think it can really be one of those great skills if you learn it. You know, during COVID times, you might not have anything else to do while you're on lockdown. Why not learn a skill like this? Because I think it could give you an upper edge on a couple of situations for sure. All right, next question. This is from Dark Angel. Okay, what is your position to question of the spiritual Satanism? And what is your point of view to the old Yiddish, is this, okay. You're talking about Kitab Jilwah, the Book of Revelation, okay, and the subject of the occult system of Aleister Crowley. Now, of course, Aleister Crowley, you know, he's got such a bad name in certain circles, but I really see him as an innovator, someone that had the balls to go against the grain. I mean, he could have just followed a very normal path, taking over his father's very successful business, falling into just a proper English society and just living a luxe life. And instead, he decided he was thinking outside of the box. Sure, he was eccentric, but most of us on this path who hit certain levels kind of are. You know, I can't hate on the guy for that. A little narcissistic. Well, anyone who takes a leadership role has a degree of narcissism in there. And yes, he used a lot of drugs. Well, let me take a step back. It's not just that. In certain circles anyways, drug use wasn't always seen as really taboo. And especially, I mean, in the age that he was developing within, let me just say, even in psychotherapy, in the, like when we're talking about Freud and that ilk of people, it was very common to do a line of cocaine and have your client do a line of cocaine, and people would just go into free association. And that was a way of therapy right up into the 60s, in some degree, of course. And CROWLEY himself, of course, he admits to taking all sorts of drugs in order to move into a different state. And from those states, he was able to disassociate from the mundane world and, of course, have very spiritual experiences. A lot of these experiences, of course, he wrote and documented very well, because he was great at sharing his experiences with others. You know, of course, he did some things that could be viewed as really poor taste. But at the end of the day, what I think I evaluate CROWLEY from is the body of work that he actually documented extremely well. So he couldn't be that much of a drug fiend to put out the amount of content that he did in such a coherent way that we can all enjoy this knowledge today. So I really respect the guy for what he is, the way he shared his work, the way he infiltrated other magical systems and influenced so many magical systems after, including, people don't like to say this, but Gerald Gardner, the father of Wicca, was also heavily influenced, but within the same circle. We got to remember that a lot of these guys were of the same generation. This is all back in England. High magic, ceremonial magic, all of this type of stuff. Now, I think the downfall of CROWLEY was that I think it was heroin that he was on. And, you know, heroin is a drug that I don't agree with at all in any way, shape or form. I don't feel like you can be a great witch or occultist, and you can't age well when you're on that level of drug. And so I feel like, you know, once he became addicted to that level of drug and wasn't able to fulfill his spiritual requirements, it was the end of the road for him. But I really think what he contributed to the occult world laid the foundation for many of us today to feel confident enough to begin to share some of our darker experiences. Now, you asked about spiritual Satanism. Of course, spiritual Satanism, I'm not a Satanist, right? It's not very, very different, but it's different from Luciferianism. But theistic Satanism or spiritual Satanism, the general consensus is that you actually believe that Satan or that type of entity is a real being, and that you worship or praise Lucifer or Satan as a real entity. And actually, most Satanists that I have met personally or have interacted in do not believe that. And you know, actually they're very, let's just say, rude when it comes to tolerating us that do have this level of belief system. So remember, Satanism is just an umbrella word for many different paths that fall under that umbrella, kind of like the witchcraft or dark arts practices. Now, about Kitab Jilwah, which is the book of Revelation, I'm not going to share a lot with you or my opinion on that. My opinion is that it is a body of writing that was meant for a specific group of people that should not have been shared outside of that group of people. And yes, do I believe in that writing, or do I think it's real? Yes, I do. There's a lot of fact in that book. There's a lot of things that I don't agree with what's said in that book, but it's written for a specific audience, and I feel like analyzing it outside of that box would not do that specific book justice. What I will say, and correctly so, is that it agrees that before Christ we were all pagans. So if I have one thing to say overall, everyone was pagan. So there was no such thing as any organized religion at all. And what we're following today is what I call the true old religion. Us who are pagans are following the old ways. We're meant to be pagan. So we're just going back to our old roots. But if you found that book, Dark Angel, and it's something that you want to study, I won't say that you're on the wrong path, but you have to study it in context of the region and the background that you're currently within. Next question. George asks, what's needed for one to be properly protected from unwanted spirits? So, this is really good and very, it's a common question. But in true Savannah style, I can go off on so many different tangents. So one resource for you is on the Black Witch Coven website. I think it's under the menu Start Here. I think the first item is called Protection. And under that, we have many different ideas for, well, it starts with different types of entities or different types of spirits, different ways you can protect yourself, different ideas, and all that sort of stuff. So that's going to give you a whole bunch more information than what I can share in a few minutes answering your question on video. But I'll also say for the general audience, if you're asking this question, what's needed for one to be properly protected from unwanted spirits? The thing is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that's just us. The thing is that we are, there's someone said, and I can't remember who said it, it was a quote in a very old book, but it said, if you can see spirits, if you were looking between the earth and the heavens, the skies would be full. So there are that many different types of spirits and spiritual entities, it would freak you out. So the idea of having blanket protection from everything, even with a talisman, it's just not possible. You do have to have a strategy for it. I will say that as soon as you put an antenna up there to the spiritual world, you're connecting to all level of spiritual being. Now, you might say, okay, well, I'm not a witch and I'm not an occultist and I'm not doing tarot reading. I'm not doing anything freaky in my house. Well, are you praying? Are you a Jew? Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you praying to your God or to your disciples or whatever you're praying to? Well, you're connecting to the spiritual world. That's what you're doing. So if you're doing that, then you're inviting spirit into your house. It doesn't matter if it's a spirit that you want or you don't want, you're opening a doorway to the spiritual world. So from that aspect, what should you do? Well, I did write here a few little points and notes, and because it is a common question. And I think that everyone in the spiritual world should have almost like an annual spiritual cleanup or annual spiritual checkup. So what do I mean by that? Well, firstly, it's not just smudging it away. Smudging gets you so far. And smudging is really about negative energies that don't serve you. But when you have an unwanted spirit, you can't smudge it away. It's ridiculous. Sorry for you guys that just want to play with your crystals. It doesn't work. And why do we know this? Because we're busy with this shit all the time. So light workers tend to just like to feel like they can smudge everything away. It's just not true. But what this really means is maybe you want to do an annual spell for protection. Okay, so that's one layer. Yes, you can smudge if you want, but that's a different layer. That's a different level of energy. wearing a protection talisman, connecting yourself to a spiritual source higher than yourself. So who is that? Well, maybe, of course, no shock, no surprise, who I connect to. I connect with, of course, Lucifer, but also to Astaroth. These are two of my very strong entities. You know, for me, Astaroth is a female energy. Of course, Lucifer is a masculine energy. And whenever I'm walking around, no matter what, and I'm not saying that it's, well, I've done some crazy things. I don't know why I'm still alive today, but I am. But and not saying, you know, I can walk around New Orleans anytime, you know, the homicide rate here is through the roof, and I'm not going to be stupid and run around down in the hood. But if I'm generally out and about, I don't attract situations that are going to do me harm, or attract spiritual entities that are wanting to harm me. So it does provide, it's one of those spiritual force fields. As a witch or an occultist, it's very important for me to personally do certain rituals, daily rituals, to enhance my own spiritual force field. So on the lighter side of things, you could call this, okay, meditation, golden light meditation, or where you're visually calling down to energy and you're expanding your field. Now, wherever I am, I always call for spiritual protection to my property. So I call the quarters, and I have a guardian in each quarter looking after my property. That's very important for me. And my key residence back in Australia, I have basically I protect the foundations of that property, but I also have various jars, protection jars buried in the earth. Generally, you bury them in the front yard of that property for protection purposes. Talismans. Yes, I have a bunch of talismans. Of course, I wear of my Black Witch Coven talisman. If it's not personally on me, it's going to be sitting on an altar space or on my servitor. But there's other talismans that I might wear for protection as well. It doesn't matter what talisman you wear. I think it's really important that you do wear a talisman of protection, letting the unwanted spirits know that you are connected or requesting protection from the spiritual world, or protection from your higher self. Now, we all have a higher self that can be activated, but you need to activate your higher self. Otherwise, it's just going to watch you go through your life. And what does that mean? Let me put this example out there. Your higher self is there to guide you through or watch over you going through your life. It's not there to save you while you're doing stupid things. For example, if you're speeding through the streets, your higher self isn't going to say, hey, you're about to get into an accident, slow down now. It's going to say, if your free will wants to speed through the streets because you want to have that adrenaline rush, then so be it. That's your choice to speed through the streets, crash into that wall and die. And then when you die and you go to the next level, maybe the higher self says, did you learn your lesson? Because how did that serve you? Did that work for you? Yes or no? Maybe you want to go down and have a different life experience. Remember, I believe in reincarnation. Now, I always have, every single month, I have a member of my group look at me to see what spiritual attachments I have on me, what spiritual attachments are on me that are not serving me. That's really important for me, because when you have lots of unwanted spiritual energies, unwanted to me, not saying they're all dark and nasty, but it starts to pull you down, it weighs you down. And when you have a lot of energy that's being drawn from you, unwanted spiritual energy, you can't be efficient as a witch or occultist, or even in your everyday life. So I have them look at that and remove any of those energies or entities that I don't want attached to me. That's very important. And then of course I have cleansers. I'm very big on the cord cutting, aura, chakra, all of that type of stuff. Of course, I'm very vigilant on that. And this keeps me vibrating at a very high level and stops all the nasty shit that people are sending my way from entering into my system, from affecting me. So I think I've given you quite a few ideas there for how you can be properly protected from unwanted spirits. I will say that if you feel like you're under attack now, of course on our website, I don't know exactly where it is, if you look at services, we do have removal of, and I think it's removal of negative entity, removal of ghost, removal of negative energy even. One thing we also do, it's quite rare, but a full poltergeist experience. That's probably the most freakiest that anyone can experience. A poltergeist, you know, when it comes in your home and it's just throwing stuff around, it's entering and exiting portholes. That's truly really quite freaky. There's no level of smudging, talismans, or aura cleansing that can prepare you for that. Some people are just more open for that level of attack, and if that's the case, you do have to have someone either through remotely coming in and stopping it, then cleansing the environment, of course, and cleansing the individual, because you probably have a cord or an attachment to that energy. That's probably a lot of poltergeist situations, they're attached to the individual, not just the space. Let's just say I have a service on our Black Witch Coven website that can help you with that experience. So it's not hard to remove a poltergeist. Sometimes it takes more than one time. So I will say, I don't talk about our services a lot, right? But I will say that is a really serious service. And if you are under poltergeist attack, of course, you buy that service once. And what we like to do is come back in the next month, or you'll tell us, where are you at with this attack right now? Are you still under attack? Is there any remnants in the property? How are the individuals behaving? Are you able to get on in life and like maintain your job, maintain relationships? How are the pets in the home? All of that type of stuff. It's really quite crazy. But it's definitely not just about smudging. I've got a whole bunch, so I'm just gonna belt through some of these. Berat asks, can sigils use for hexes or curses? Yeah, they can. I'm not gonna show every sigil or sigil for a hex or a curse. The easiest thing to do if you're working with the demons is look up the demons that are renowned for hexing and cursing, and just use their sigil in conjunction with a black candle if you're going the easy route, or whatever spell you're using. Adam asks, Savannah, after studying, learning, and wanting to become Luciferian, in the end, is it worth it? Would I gain power and wealth more abundant than the average person in the world? So Luciferianism isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's just not. The dark arts isn't a get-rich-quick system. What this is a religious philosophy. Well, the way I practice it, I should say, is this is my lifetime journey. It's my lifetime investment, not in myself, firstly, but also my dedication and practice leads me, and my interest, my search for knowledge and truth and wisdom leads me into becoming more and more materially successful every single year. And but just being Luciferian doesn't mean that you will have power and wealth. If that is what you're aspiring for, then you need to really dedicate yourself to that journey. If you dedicate yourself to the journey, then I will dare say you will greatly be enriched by that dedication, by the time you spend acquiring knowledge on that journey. But no, It's definitely not just given to you because you walked in the door. Christopher asks, if somebody makes a pact with a demonic entity through the use of your service or another, are they making a pact with your demon as part of that evocation, or are both demonic energies of the same force attached to one another to facilitate the pact? So, Christopher, you're a customer of ours, I know. So, of course, everything I specifically do is through Lucifer. So in pact making services, even if you want a pact with Belial or Astaroth or Azael or whoever, I use pathways or gateways when I'm going into that journey. So the first person I always welcome is Lucifer into my temple. He's it. Like, you know, you don't go into your family home if all your family's there and not first pay respect to the elder in the group. So you first go in, the first person in the door is Lucifer, and you pay your respects to Lucifer, and then it might be Astaroth if it's with Astaroth, or maybe we're working with Clunic, so there's a couple of different people that you have to hit before you actually work that pact with Clunic. Now, if you have a spirit that you want me to connect with, and that spirit, after I connect with Lucifer, that spirit doesn't want to appear, then it doesn't appear. And your pact gets put through with the spirit of my desire. But I don't try and bait and switch clients. I'm very upfront with people about this. And I'm also very clear that anyone can do this themselves. I'm just a mediator. My role in pact making is to bring forth the judge, the great demon, the great judge, and petition what you desire, and then try and receive some level of response, and then share that knowledge with you so you can continue the relationship. That's the way we do the service here. I hope I answered your question. Next question. Is there a way to astral travel to someone? Do I have to be an expert spellcaster to do this? Do I have to have the address of the person? I want to astral travel to someone, but I want it to be real as it can be. Is that even possible? Also, I want to know if I'm supposed to be with this person. How do I figure all of this out? Great questions, great questions. Now, astral travel, like the thing I was talking about before, is a skill. It's a skill. Maybe 1% of people can pick it up like that, but it is a learned skill. And people outside of occultism do teach astral travel. It is absolutely one of our abilities as a human to connect on the astral plane to other people. Now, do you have to have their address? It depends on how skilled you are with your astral traveling abilities. For me personally, I just have to, I'm a visual connector, so I'll always say I need a photo. I need a photo of that person. But other people can do it just with names. Some people will need name, address, all of that type of stuff. But it's something that you have to learn and you have to practice. So I suggest that you do a course. And I'll actually put a link to that, because one of my mates in Vegas, Dr. Steve G. Jones, a long-term friend of mine, he actually teaches astral travel, and I really trust Steve's work, or courses I should say. And he's not a witch, he's not an occultist. He's actually a hypnotherapy master. Some other aspects of your question were also, I want to know if I'm supposed to be with this person. How do I figure this out? If you can't do that already, then I would have not a tarot reading, but a psychic reading on that. And yes, we provide that on the website as well. Gonna need my glasses for this one too. Oh my gosh. Hi, Savannah. I hope you're well. Yes. I have a question, which I'm pretty sure you must have at least once a week. I'm interested in working with you on a monthly basis to realize my dreams. Awesome. However, I'm afraid to use black magic and demons. The reason being, I don't want something bad to happen to me. Could you please confirm how it works? Will I have bad karma, or will my family be punished if I use black magic with you? Thank you ever so much for your response, Eva. Eva, sorry, you asked this on December 13. I'm only doing these Ask Savannah things once a month now, I will say. So I totally understand your concerns about some of the spells that I do. I totally get it. It's not for everyone. That's why in our group, not everyone has gone down the path I specifically have gone down. In fact, due to my personality type and my curiosity, I have done many things on the magical path that, like Aleister Crowley, if I wrote about all my experiences, I'm sure I would be judged heavily for them. But I don't care. The thing is that when I'm working with a client, we have, for example, on the monthly subscription service, we really, I try and get an understanding of where are you at this point in time? What do you specifically need? What is the easiest path to get you there so you feel comfortable? Because if you don't feel comfortable with the magical methods that I'm applying to your situation, it's not going to work anyways. And I say that, you know, me working with the demons or the dark arts sometimes isn't the best solution to some specific problem. There's many ways to get a result. So the idea, though, of having bad karma or family punishment, that is something that you're specifically going to have to feel comfortable with. You know, if you're coming from a Christian background or a religious background of any type, of any of the Abrahamic religions, remember that even a tarot reader to call and have a divination service is considered sin. Now, I know all the light workers like to sit under this little protection bubble, but this is just the truth. I'm not making this up. It's written in the book. Just read the damn book. So will you have bad karma? I don't believe in karma. So the word karma has also been twisted. I'm not going to go into explaining what I mean by that in this video, but just remember the idea of the Buddhist philosophy of karma has been twisted from what that is truly intended to mean. And at the end of the day, what it's really about is, are you doing in life, are your actions serving you or are they harming you? And that's really what you're judged on when you drop dead. There's no gigantic God in the sky that says, who's using their perspective to judge you. What it's really about is, during that lifetime, did you do stuff that got you ahead in life, or were the decisions you made poor decisions and you weren't able to achieve your spiritual goals or your life goals or whatever it is? So that is my version of karma, but this is really up to you to decide. Eva, we love to have people come aboard, and naturally, you know, when you come on board as a monthly subscriber, if that's what you want to do, like you'll see under that service banner, you work with a couple of us, and I don't push anything upon anyone anyways. Next question. Now, Alex, oh, this is cool. What are your thoughts on CARROLL RUNYON and his method of goetic spirit evocation? I really dig the guy. Like, I know he gets a little bit of crap put on him as well. I really like the sincerity that he has towards his practice. What I liked about what he did, there's a video he did, and if I can find it, I'll actually share it. I'll share a link to it. He actually opened up the doors and showed the world what one of these rituals actually looks like. And he showed really how much you really need to prepare, the memorization of all of the rituals, the calling of the spirit, all of that type of stuff. I think he is totally authentic. Now, yes, he's quite theatrical. Yes, he is quite dramatic. But I think he is totally sincere. I'm sure that he's not going to dig my style of magic, but you know, I don't care. Okay, this is from Keenan. He says, this will be the last question. Keenan says, I see so-called magicians on TV performing unexplained acts. People like Dynamo and Yu Honjin. Is this possible? If so, can I obtain these powers? Okay, so great questions actually, but stage magic is very, very different from what we're doing in witchcraft or occultism or demonology or any type of practice. I'm not sure of some of these names, but I have seen some of these stage magicians and they're totally awesome. Now, and can you obtain this power? Yes, you can. But once again, it really requires practice. And if you watch a documentary on any of these people, including, you know, some of them in Vegas, some of the names don't come to mind quickly, but you'll know that they have, from childhood, they have had an interest in magic. People who have these skills are practicing all the time. They probably have a deck of cards on them at all times, or the coins, or some level of trick on them all the time that they're constantly playing with. They're fine-tuning their skill. And yes, you very much can learn any of those skills, but you just have to practice and be really interested in it. But this is very, very different from occultism. That's not to say though, you know, because we do have actors, and I don't think we have any stage magicians working with Black Witch Coven, I will say that. But actors and other people who are quite famous, doing well in their jobs, they might have a pact, or they might do regular spell casting to ensure they stay fresh or seen or popular in their field. I will say that. But it's not exclusively because of that relationship with the spiritual world that they are famous or have that skill. It's like with a pact. A pact is just a document. It's an agreement, but you have to put in the effort in order for the spiritual world to also help you to be interested in what you're doing. And that's when magic happens. So in 2021, I'm actually putting out some more tools of witchcraft videos. Of course, the Scarrage will be the next on the list. I'm also putting out some videos on magical spells and things like that. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.